All right, you guys. Thank you all so much for being here. I am so excited for today's topic and speaker. My name is Brenda Slayton with Consumers Title, and normally I try to keep these at like 30 minutes, but I know that you guys are going to have lots of questions, and I know that Robert's got a great presentation to talk about. So I wanted to give him ample time. So it may be closer to 45 to an hour, but I definitely think it will be worth your time. I do have a couple quick announcements before we get started. I did want to let you guys know that Consumers Title does have another new underwriter for your clients that is now offering qualified buyers and sellers a discount on title services. So that'll be for first responders, first time home buyers, seniors over the age of 55, as well as U.S. military active and honorably discharged. So I do have a flyer on that. And then also, we are offering 50% off title services for those that lost their home in the fire. The discount does apply for lenders' title policies for construction and rebuild, as well as owners and lenders for purchase of replacement property. So the discount, the transaction actually must be finalized within 18 months of the purchaser's previous structure being damaged or destroyed. So just FYI on that. There obviously are more details on both, and I do have flyers on both. So if you want them, just text or email me, and I will go ahead and send these off to you guys. Okay. I know Robert's got a lot to go over, so let's just go ahead and get started. Robert Feldman, I had the honor of seeing him speak about a year ago, and he was just a wealth of knowledge. He's the founder of WOWS Insurance, and he speaks all over the state about specific actually his specialty is fire zones and hard to place risks. So he's got 25 years experience in this industry. So Robert, I am so excited that you're here. Thank you
Thank
very,
you.
very much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk to us today.
Well, the honor is mine, first of all. Thank you, Brenda. Obviously, for a lot of those out there, my name is Robert Feldman, the CEO and co-founder of WOWS Insurance. We are a little different. We're a wholesaler. So first and foremost, we bring insurance companies into California. I was pretty excited yesterday. I was in Utah and signed a company. We're going to be launching for high value homes across California and 8 Western states. We have a network of 3,000 brokers appointed directly or indirectly with us, but we do a lot of retail. So if Angela Reese is on there right now, looks over and says, "Hey, Robert, I got a problem with this, and can I get help with?" We're constantly in the middle of and help constantly. So really here today to talk about really the changes of what's going to happen in the insurance world, basically what you guys are seeing, and kind of give you a little preview as to what the challenges are going to be and what we're going to do to overcome them. Obviously, the fires in the Pacific Palisades and the fire in Altadena changed the mark. I mean, everyone keeps saying it in my world of insurance. I work with the big reinsurance companies. And what happens is in London and Bermuda, different places of the world, they're the reinsurance companies are the ones that support the insurance companies when it comes to coverage and cost. Um, every fire, Woolsey included, as an example, was supposed to be the worst fire ever. Now we had a fire that was in Palisades that was 10 times larger, 10 times larger. And so what we're talking about now is what we can do. And all the programs we're bringing in right now are really going to be for insurance companies all the way from simple HO6 insurance policies, the little condo walls in coverage, all the way up to 20,000 square foot mansions. Really, three things are going to be required coming forward. And those that take advantage of it, those realtors that are really aggressive in this market, are going to be able to get insurance and be able to close escrows while a lot of you are seeing houses going in and out of escrow 50 times because of insurance. What has happened is it's going to be a term we all know about, but in really a different way. It's fire hardening. We now, as WOWS, as a wholesaler for multiple of our programs, have a full fire hardening report that's being done for consumers that are listing homes to make sure that prior to this, now mind you, the fire hardening we're talking about is different than the ones that you deal with for your car contract, the CAL FIRE. Ours is actually probably 5, maybe 10 times more stringent. So I've yet to have anyone that has done the fire hardening full report and do all the mitigation requirements not pass a CAL FIRE. That a lot of the chiefs around the state are really loving what we're doing because of the fact that what it does is it's beyond the requirement you need for your escrow. Why it's important to know this is fire hardening is going to be the next really fight for homes. A 3 or 4,000 square foot house in a marginally fire zone area is going to start seeing 30, 40, 50, $60,000 insurance costs. You're going to see that coming. If you haven't seen it already, you're going to see a lot more of it. The larger homes, when you get above really about 6 or 7,000 square feet, are basically falling off the edge of a cliff. Insurance companies are not writing in general. So by doing a fire hardening report, doing a mitigation plan going forward, and on the larger homes, doing a full scale, what's called insurance inspection, where they go out and do a full, detailed report, can make the difference of, we have one right now that we're going to write in Saratoga as a wholesaler for one of the companies we brought in. It kept falling out of escrow because there was no quote in the industry less than 150,000 for this large home. Because the client then came to us, we did the fire hardening, got everything prepared for it. They're now in that $60,000 range, 63,000. They're going to close their escrow with a buyer. So there are a lot of changes going forward. What I've been speaking to realtors throughout California, and I will be now in 8 Western states. I was pretty excited. I was in Utah yesterday signing the deal for our WOWS program. Our WOWS program is the first policy. This is for homes that are large homes or mansions. That's being copied by other companies we represent, by the way. Will be the first policy in the history of California fully transferable from sellers to buyers. So we're doing a lot of great things to change how this really works. So with that being said, I want to kind of leave it open. I know there's a lot of subjects, Brenda. I can go in a lot of different directions. I can go talk about Cal Fair Plan and the problems that they're running into. I can talk about different insurance things, but I'd like to stop for a second and kind of give it, take a deep breath and maybe sip a glass of water to let one of you actually ask a question. So I apologize if I keep going. Is there any questions I want to start with?
Yeah, is there anybody that would like to ask a question or put it in the chat? Um, like Robert said, I know he could go in a bunch of different directions, so I want to make sure that we're, discussing things that you guys want to talk about and you need to know.
So the good thing I will say now is we've successfully brought in about 6 to 7 different carriers that are now writing at different levels for homes. So everything from an HO6 condo walls in coverage, which actually was kind of interesting. After the fires broke out and the moratoriums were being lifted, the one area that was having problems was actually more so than even the larger homes with condos. HO6 policies were not being written. So we've been able to solve that with a company that's called ISC. We've been very successful bringing them in, and we write hundreds of those policies. So it's pretty crazy, all the way up to the normal house, which is 2 or 3,000 square feet, into larger homes. There's a big issue regarding Cal Fair Plan. Just so everyone knows, Cal Fair Plan is not a solve all. It's a solve all for homes that are really about 3,500 square feet or less. When you're above 3,500 square feet, you're either shorting your overall coverages or you're going to be out of compliance. Cal Fair Plan has an 80% insured to value requirement. So every so often I'll see a 6 or 7,000 square foot house that's on the Cal Fair Plan. Most of those houses, believe it or not, because they're not insured to value, have little or no coverage right now. So it's a lot of information out there, and really these steps and changes make the differences. Is there anything else I can answer you guys? You guys are being too nice to me. Usually when I do a realtor meeting like I just did, I mean, shoot, I got chairs thrown at me when you walk in as the insurance guy,
Peggy
right?
Sue.
Yes, hi, good
I saw.
morning. So my question is, with regard to advising our clients, what is a good rule of thumb related to really bringing this subject up and then discussing, hey, you might want to think about reviewing your current insurance coverage and
Yep.
do an analysis on that with a professional and be able to determine if you are insured
I
correctly, right?
I have agents all over California that are doing this right now. I think every one of you has your CRM tool that can look up every person you represent as a buyer. Okay. I have yet to have an agent get in trouble or screamed at by a client by simply calling up, following through the list, and simply saying, "Hi, it's Robert Feldman. I sold your house at 1234 Gonna Burn Street." Wait, you're supposed to laugh when I say that comment. Everyone's falling asleep on me. Gonna Burn Street was the joke. 1234 Gonna Burn Street. And I'm just calling to follow up with you right now. It's a really challenging times. I'm not in the insurance world, but I'm getting a lot of phone calls from my clients saying there's a problem. Are you okay? Are you okay? Start there. You can talk about why it's important to be insured to value or things of nature. But again, I think you hit around the head, Peggy, when you simply say, have you talked to your insurance broker? Has your insurance broker talked to you? Have you reviewed? Are you okay? Because you need to make sure you're insured to value. It's all
Kathy
I'm
Gray has a question.
Yes, Kathy. Kathy, you got
You're
to
on
unmute
mute,
yourself.
Kathy.
Sorry about that.
No
Okay, so
worries.
you mentioned Utah. So if you cover California and Utah,
Well, we're going to be pretty soon. The WOWS program is what size home are you talking about?
I don't know. I help clients in both California and Utah.
What I would say, Kathy, is Brenda's got all my contact. Every one of you can have it. My personal cell phone is area. If you want to write it down, and I'll give you guys a second to write down. Is area code 818-415-8000. Do me a huge favor. If you're an iPhone person, send me your iPhone contact, text it to me so I can save you on my phone. I will send you it back.
Okay.
My email is really difficult. It's Robert at WOWS, WOWS. Everyone forgets the S, WOWS insurance.com.
How
And
soon
Kathy,
will you know about Utah?
pretty soon. Actually, I was pretty excited. I was on a plane last night. So I came back signing the deal. So we're starting to get more and more in different states. I'll be in 8 to 9 states in a minute.
Okay. Are we going to have the recording for this by
Yes.
chance?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll send it to everybody on the call as well as his information.
If
So
Perfect.
and that last thing I would say is I actually have a fun one. Brenda knows me from barbecue events and stuff like that. It's the barbecue one where I post all the information for realtors. It's Bob. So if you're on Instagram, it's Bob. So BOB dot B as in barbecue dot QUE. Follow me and I'll follow you back. And you guys, I post things up there a lot. You guys can steal every bit of it. If you do podcasts or things like that, I'm doing a lot of things for different realtors that are asking for help on podcasts or things of that nature.
Robert, an agent that could not be here today had a question. She says, is it true that by executive order they can't cancel our insurance until January 2026?
That's correct, is a partial correct. Only in zip codes that were affected. So I'll use an example. If you own a house and it's in Granada Hills in the San Fernando Valley, that is not correct. Granada Hills was not an affected zip code.
Okay.
There is not a moratorium on cancellations for the state. It is just zip codes and some zip code adjacent zip codes. You can easily go on to the California Department of Insurance and look that up. It's simple. If you go to the California Department of Insurance, they have a whole section on it with listing of the zip codes.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
But what's not covered, by the way, is if you make any material change. So, for example, some of the consumers in these areas that are closed down will go from being owner occupied to a landlord situation where it means you have to write a new policy or convert it. That does not apply to that situation. So if there's any material change like that, it does not include.
I have a question, Robert.
Yes.
Go ahead,
How
Chuck.
difficult would it be to find insurance for a 2,900 square foot house in Ventura?
Okay, so it's like, and I would jokingly say to you, I'm going to tease. I tease everybody for the same exact comment. It just depends on the house. Most houses in Ventura are going to be pretty easy. We should have multiple carriers that we wholesale through that'll write business for 2,900 square feet. But again, I don't know the address. I don't know the claims history. I don't know the buyer. I don't, there's so many parameters you don't know until you get all this information put together. As a general rule, the good thing about a 2,900 square foot house is it will fit inside the Cal Fair plan at the worst case scenario.
Hmm. Yeah, I hear it's hard to get claims for with the Cal Fair plan.
Actually, I was the exact opposite. When you guys go onto my that Instagram, I have a 5 steps to recovery. I had one consumer that received over $1 million in proceeds from Cal Fair Plan 4 days after the fires broke out. That was a
Awesome.
total loss.
Okay.
I,
Thank
I,
you.
I sound terrible, and I don't mean to toot my own horn. Brenda will be the first to tell you. I don't kind of know what the regulatory issues are with insurance companies. I know it, and I know exactly what you have to do, like certifying a total loss and things that really force the insurance companies to pay out. I've helped
Got it.
since the fires have broken out over the last couple of months. I've helped somewhere between 300 to 500 consumers that weren't even clients, that couldn't find their insurance broker with a gun and a search warrant, line up their claims and get everybody going. Just the right thing to do.
Hmm. Thanks, Robert.
Yeah. Kathy, do you have another question? Because your hand's still up. I just didn't want to be disrespectful and keep
Yeah,
ignoring
no,
it.
sorry, I'll take that off.
You're good. You're good.
I
Thank
have a
you.
question. Um,
Yes.
so you were saying that you have this stricter fire hardening
Yeah.
report.
Yep.
What kinds of things are you guys having people do?
Okay, so I mean, it's a really detailed report. I still work with the mitigation, a couple different mitigation. We're nailing it down right now because what we just signed yesterday in Utah, we were showing different to this insurance carrier. We're showing the different reports and they're choosing what they want. Okay, what happens is right now there are things like 1/8 inch mesh for the vents, open exposed eaves, but there's other things that are even beyond that. Like for some of the houses, is really the 0 to 5 feet of vegetation, lean, clean, and green. Which trees are too close? We had one company we brought in. It's called Stand. I love them. Their hot topic button is that you have to have space between houses. That's their thing. So if you're in an area where there's really a bunch of houses on top of each other, they won't fit. But for a lot of the homes that are 6 million up to 6 million rebuild, 7 million rebuild, big homes, if you have that situation, let me get rid of this. Sorry, it just clicked on that. I apologize. I lost you guys for a second. So what happens is one of those things where they're all about tempered glass, not even double pane windows. So if you have tempered glass and you have the proper mitigation, they're crushing the market right now. And so it's just a matter of what are the hot topics we do. I keep bringing companies in. Every insurance company, including our own for WOWS, has what's in the terms of restaurant secret sauce that they believe makes them better. And so just knowing it and making sure we get it, to everyone to the right spots. The big difference though on this, and this is what I was talking to Brenda about, is guys, the days of just simply putting a house up for listing and expecting the house to close for a lot of the homes are gone. If you're not doing this approach, you're going to lose your listings because others are going to be doing this approach. Making sure they have a fire hardening, having a mitigation plan, doing all the steps that are necessary to really get a house insurance, and not just get them insurance, but get it better than where the market is in coverage and cost. There's going to be investments. I had one consumer, large home. I'll preface this: the market in Malibu for this house, they can't sell it right now because it's costing something. The insurance on this 9,000 plus square foot house, all the carriers are coming back in at least at 400,000 to 500,000 a year. Scary, scary. This is the same house that should be no more than about $150,000 in coverage. So now they're going through the whole mitigation situation where they're going to do the annual mitigation stuff to be able to treat the house and do all the things along with the fire hardening. And we're getting rates in the 130 to 150 range. That'll help sell that house. I had one company we write through. It's called American Western. State Farm took this client from $12,000 a year to $19,000 a year on their renewal. It's a $2.4 million rebuild. The company American Western, which we represent, A++ rated. I've never seen plus plus, by the way, it's a joke. I've seen plus, but never two pluses. And they were at 3.2 million versus 2.4, roughly the same deductibles, roughly the same coverage, and they're at $6,800 a year. So there's a lot of things. It's just really knowing what things are and what are transferable, what are not, what are you doing to help your sellers get lined up to sell their homes. There's going to be some consumers that aren't going to want to do anything. We all know that consumer, right? They don't want to spend $1 to do anything on their house. Well, guess what? I kind of laugh. I've had a couple of them come up recently because now they're taking serious reductions because they can't sell the house because they can't get insurance. And I kind of look at them and go, hey, instead of taking that $100,000 reduction, would $30,000 of mitigation work might have been the better play here? You guys are hearing it front line. This is going to be the new vogue. And so the good news, though, again, though, is that there are options, and I keep bringing them in. The game is changing is the big thing. Is why Brenda brought me on today, is to really stress to you as realtors that the game is changing, and you got to know those that want to study the game will know it and be successful as a realtor, and those that don't study this part of it, because I mean, obviously, insurance has become a bigger and bigger issue in not just California, but really 8 to 9 Western states when it comes to fire. Yes, Peggy.
Yes, another question with regard to getting the items completed, say prior to listing the property. Do you have recommendations of contractors that
Yes.
would be doing that?
Yep.
Or do we choose our own contractor that has a
Peggy,
specialty?
Peggy, you can do it either way. I have a lot of realtors now that are starting to do this where I believe in that terrible commercial, stay in your lane, brah. You ever see that commercial, stay in your lane, brah, from the insurance, stay in your lane? And so, I have some realtors that believe that because it's an insurance issue to get insurance, they refer it to us and we will handle it, meaning help the consumer go through the steps and processes. Some realtors want to be very hands-on. I just am always very leery when a realtor gets too hands-on in this process, especially when it regards to insurance, because I don't want any of you ever dragged into problems if something goes sideways. That's our job to deal with. And so the insurance, no different than Peggy, if I get one of your clients that you refer to me and they're asking me about a contingency or something like that's going on, or some kind of an inspection report that's not an insurance base, I'm going to send it back to you in 30 seconds. I'm going to send it back to you. And I mean, not even 30. You're going to see the quickest reply ever, copying you on it, saying, hey, Peggy, by the way, our client, Mr. Smith, is asking for a question regarding their escrow. Can you please reply on this one?
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Thank you for doing this. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
So in regards to the mitigation plan,
Yep.
I've done the fire hardening. We've seen the report. You came and spoke and showed, you've got to remove, 600 trees. Like it was crazy, kind of stuff like that. The mitigation plan, because I have a couple listings we're working on prepping, who do I hire for that?
Okay, so what we do is there's a company, you can build really a mitigation on. We just do it internally with a company called Komodo. Komodo is a company I like a lot. I have a company that represents the different. Komodo is the brand that has a very environmentally conscious orange peel approach to not frost check that helps protect houses. So you don't have to worry about. I'm an animal fan. I have a dog that I love. I don't ever have anything that is animal, detriment. So I've been doing the research on this, and I brought Komodo in. They have a couple of great systems. It depends on the size of the house. It could be as much as just simply treating the house, might be a couple thousand a year that's happening every year, to if it's a big enough house. They even have a system now I was looking at called an Iron Dome. It's what the Israelis use to knock down missiles in the Middle East. It's a system that sprays and knocks down ambers, that just sprays and does it. They call it their Iron Dome. So it depends on the size of the house. And so, Eileen, what will happen is some of your listings, I don't know what size your listings are, could be a mitigation that might be just annual treatment. That's fine. But let's say it's an 8,000 square foot house. It might be worthwhile to do some of the really hardcore sprinkler systems or Iron Dome systems just to be able to save that money annually. I mean, when you're talking about an insurance going to 3 to 5% of the total insurance value, when you're at 1.5%, I mean, 1.5% of a total insurance gets to be pretty large on 10 million. You're $150,000 difference. I mean, that's huge. I mean, that's an investment to make sure that the greatest investment most people have ever had was the old realtor comment is their homes. And so it's the game plan has changed. And this is what I'm stressing everybody. If Peggy or Angela or you, Eileen, you get somebody that calls up and says, hey, I'm going to list my house. I want it on the market by Saturday. you're going to have to look at a smile and say, okay, we can do it, but we're going to have to really look at some things. Now I back up. If it's in the middle of Reseda, in the San Fernando Valley, in the city of Reseda, not a lot of fire there, guys. Probably okay to do that. But all of you are in fire zones. I mean, most of California now is fire zone. So you're going to be doing this. Like we have a company, American Western, that I love. The one I mentioned to you about, the one in Calabasas. They're about fire hardening. So we're doing things in front of it instead of being caught up behind it. Because they go out and they inspect, then they write the policy, hey, the vents aren't set right and this is not set right. So we're taking the proactive step of making sure these things are done in advance.
Okay. Can we get that number from you, or is it best just to call you? And
it's just, you got my information, please text me.
Okay.
I could talk about it offline. We can talk about different ones. This in the new Vogue thing, the problem for all of us, including me, all of you, including me, is now since these fires, it's the new Vogue thing is to be a fire mitigation company. Like there's 8 million of them popping up. We're just we're being very careful with which ones. And we're just making sure because it's got to fit in, especially with the company standard or the WOWS program for the larger homes, they've got to fit into our cookie cutter. They got to be able to do what we want done, or it's a waste of time.
Mm-hmm. So I was writing an offer for a client, and we started with insurance before we even presented our offer. And
you got to be really careful, Eileen, now, because that's part of the crackdown. If your buyer is known in the industry, because they're tracking this stuff, insurance companies are done with every time an insurance company gives a quote. So let's say I give you a quote for Eileen, right? And you're buying the house here, but then 6 other insurance brokers all request the same quote. Insurance companies are closing the doors. They're saying, we're not interested in this. They're shopping it. They're not a serious buyer.
Okay.
So you have to be really careful. So I've gotten phone calls from realtors saying, my client's been doing this and they've went to the market. The very first thing you will hear me say is, I need to know exactly which companies you've gotten quotes from.
Okay.
Or turn downs, because what I don't want to do is go in behind the scenes as a wholesaler, request information, and then lock out a company.
Well, how do you handle, the concern was it's a big house, 7 million, whatever the number, 7 million. And the point was the lot that it was on, it was very obvious it was going to be hard to insure. And he didn't want to get into a negotiation on price and then find out.
No, that's a perfect example.
But we want to be smart and not even tie it up if we're not serious. If it's
the one advantage what Carr did with the 17-day contingency, insurance contingency, is going to answer a lot. Okay. My joke is that house that you're talking about, a large one, if it's not fire hardened and doesn't have a mitigation plan, is going to be taking deep discounts. I'll make a bet with you, Eileen. What office are you out of, by the way?
I'm in Compass now. Yeah.
Okay. Which office?
Oh, Westlake.
Westlake. Okay. So with Matt, I would joke around with Matt and I would make a joke with you that we almost track that house. Watch how many reductions it takes.
Mm-hmm.
Because what's going to happen is the ones that haven't done the fire hardening and haven't done, this is going to be a continuous thing. This is a directional change, guys. It really is.
Wow. Okay.
And so the problem is for your buyer is when you represent a buyer, you can't really get into the whole mitigation plan and fire hardening things. You have to take a higher rate while you're trying to fix this. So that's why the listing side, I'm getting the word out this because it's a huge money difference. Huge money difference.
Yeah, but the concern about taking it, so the buyer says, yes, I'll buy the house and pays
huge money,
whatever. And then how does he know with everything? It's the unknown right now. Is he going to get bumped up? And
Eileen, you're 100% correct. That's why the process we're doing, especially on the really larger homes for WOWS, is going to help reduce that fluctuation because our policy is fully transferable. So if you got an 8,000 square foot house and it's in the WOWS program, it's going to be transferable from sellers to buyers. So you're going to see as a pattern.
Okay.
The company stand is already getting ready to copy us. I've been almost like a computer software company. I'm open source. They joke and tease me, being open source when it comes to what we're doing. I've been very transparent to other insurance companies that we represent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's and what I would say is you just got to be in the game. There's some companies that require more information than others. I'm really attacking on the seller side, Eileen, to make sure that when you have a listing, you had better make sure that they're looking at this. You're in Westlake, if they're in North Ranch. Okay, I live at the top of Lindero above Canaan personally. Okay, so what you're seeing now, those are too close together for stand, but there's other ones in North Ranch that are perfect for stand. Okay. They have this distance and space. Every company has different things, and we keep bringing more and more of them in. The Utah one was a huge one yesterday, by the way, for me. So that was a big one.
Thank you.
All right. Is there any other questions I can answer for you guys? Okay, you guys are great.
Else? These are really, really great questions. I love it. I love the
Anytime you guys have
interaction.
any,
Sometimes these
absolutely.
are so quiet, so I love it. Anybody else?
I can usually poke a hornet's nest pretty well and get everyone to ask questions. So that's usually a good thing.
Well, when I was telling people about this call, they were like, "Oh my gosh, yes, this is so great." I mean, just have a lot of
Brenda,
questions. So
anytime
I'm
you want
hoping
me
they
on.
speak up.
Yeah. Yep. And by the way, you guys, Brenda will have all my contact information. I set it on here. You guys have this recording. Please just do me a favor. I get this all the time. I'll get a text message. And it's, hi, Robert, blah, 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 blah. And it's this long text message. And I'm like, replying, going, can I ask who this is? If you guys can just connect with me, send me your contacts. I will send you mine. If you're on Instagram, connect with me. There's a ton of information. I will send it out to you guys, connect, and we'll make sure. I think we have one more question that's popped up.
Kathy?
Hi, I I was just wondering, so buyers are not really allowed to shop around for insurance, or
You
how
got to you got to be
how
very
many
careful.
companies?
It's not a shop around. It's when it's multiple insurance brokers. So what they have to do is they have to really stay in line with their brokers. It's what I always recommend to people. The shop around situation, they want to shop around and check different insurance companies. You just got to be careful when you have multiple brokers looking at the same places. Does that make sense, Kathy? There's a difference?
Uh,
Let me
not
say it again. Let me say it. So so if you have a broker that goes out to 10 different insurance companies, that's perfectly fine. But having 10 brokers try to get the same insurance company to quote it is not fine.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
I have a
Thank
question
you.
on that actually.
Mm-hmm.
So, say my client talked to one broker
Yep.
and this broker didn't give him any feedback on good insurance companies. Is he allowed
Mm-hmm.
to go to you after?
Yeah, they can absolutely go to me. I'm just always careful about it. If they can get the list, if they have companies they checked, you know what usually happens as a wholesaler? You're gonna laugh. All of a sudden, when I solve it, I get a phone call from that broker asking to get appointed. They want to get appointed with us to sell our programs,
Hmm.
which is fine. I just would tell you that again, if the broker wants to reach out, if your client wants to reach out to me, we're going to help them get to the right spots. That's all we do.
Okay. Sounds
Yep.
good. I'll be reaching out to you after this call.
Yep. Yep.
Robert,
Yeah, go ahead and read that question for me.
yeah, I was going to go ahead and read this question for you. Is there new premium cap being implemented for home insurance brokers?
No. The answer is no. Insurance companies are in the middle of non-renewal. That's why we brought in 5 to 6 companies over the last couple of months that we're working with. And so long story short, there is no cap. There's no moratorium on it. There's moratorium on cancellation, but there's no moratorium on rates being increased. I'm sorry to say. Knowing your options and making sure you get ready for it is the most important thing.
A scary thought.
Yep. 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 Is there any
Any
other
other
questions?
questions?
Well, guys, thank you so very much. It was all great to see you guys. Any questions, all text me, call me. I'm on. Brenda will tell you. I was answering in an airport when we were confirming everything. So I've been on airplanes and visiting. So I'm always bouncing around. So guys, I'm on the road 18 to 22 days of the month actually, and I'll probably next month's even be crazier. So especially with the new companies we brought in, it gets crazier and crazier. All right.
Yeah, well, thank you again, Robert, for taking the
Thank
time.
you.
I do appreciate it. You guys, the next workshop Wednesday will be on March 26th at 11. I haven't secured the speaker, but I'm hoping it is going to be on 1031 exchanges and how you can, kind of get your clients through that whole process and leads to higher commissions and more business for you guys. So definitely hope you guys can be there. I'll send out more information in the next week or so. Also,
Guys, I'm
What
going to
else
sneak
was I
out.
gonna?
Brenda,
Okay,
I'll see you guys later.
no problem.
Okay,
Thank you so
guys.
much, Robert.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
I will send, if you guys want, I'll send the recording to this along with the flyers that I talked about earlier. So just go ahead and text or email me and let me know you would like that. And I'll make sure that you get all of Robert's information. So thank you guys again for being here. I hope he answered all of your questions. And if not, just let me know and I'll make sure to get the answer for you guys. All right. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. And if there's anything I can help with, you guys let me know.
Thank you, Brenda. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Peggy Sue. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.